Hello, everyone. How wonderful it is to be with you again this Thursday, 6 p.m. Continue to learn and discuss and reflect on this wonderful work, which is the book, The Way, the Truth, and the Life by Emmanuel through the hands of Chico Xavier. We are on chapter 38, and it is titled Preaching. And he said to them, "Let us go to the nearby villages so that I can preach there also. That is why I have come." And that is in the book of Mark, chapter 1, verse 38. In this verse from Mark, Jesus states that he has come into the world to preach. However, since the meaning of this concept has been erroneously interpreted, one should remember that in saying this, the master includes in the act of preaching all the sacrificial gestures of his life. Generally speaking, the mission of teaching is highly disparaged. Official knowledge has its cathedrals, politics has its platforms, and religion speaks from pulpits. However, with laudable exceptions, those who teach are nearly always characterized by two different ways of acting. That is, they exhibit certain at- attitudes when preaching, but they exhibit others in their daily lives. This causes general confusion because their listeners consequently feel free to change their own garments of character. Every sermon molded on the good is useful. Jesus came into this world to do just that. He preached the truth far and wide. He gave talks about renewal, and he commented on the necessity of love for solving our problems. Nonetheless, he combined his words with a living testimony from the first manifestation of his sublime mission up to a final one on the cross. Therefore, the Master understood preaching to also entail life's sufferings. According to this meaning, the gospel gives us a divine lesson when it says that the Master was wearing a seamless tunic at the supreme hour of Calvary. Wow, another great chapter, preaching. Preaching is so needed. It's needed. All the positive messages that we get from different outlets, from books and even from loved ones and friends, are very important in our lives. Isn't it wonderful to read a great book and feel inspired, like this one? Or listen to a nice, uplifting music. Everything is it is really good to help us to be able to continue on being positive and seeing the beauty of life. However, preaching does not go that far only. We must add the action. And I believe all of us, in a way or another, struggle trying to put into action things that we have learned and we are learning along the way, especially when it comes to living the life that Jesus, during his life here on earth, taught us to forgive one another, to do to others what we want them to do to us, to be able to love unconditionally. It's very easy to say it, right? Go and forgive what the person did to you. Come on, just forgive that person already. But how can we be able to forgive if we are not working within ourselves? There's so many examples that we can say here about putting into practice what we are learning every single day. But the question is, what does it take to put into practice, right? Are we attuned to ourselves and also our spirit guides? Are we doing what it takes to be able to continue on um, with this mission, which is learning, growing, preaching, and putting it to practice, making it solid in our lives? This morning, I was having a conversation with my mom and saying how wonderful it is to clean the house. And, when we do that every single day, we are able to um, make it a habit. And once we make it a habit, then we automatically we start cleaning. And it's so much harder when we don't clean right away, or when we don't clean, daily or weekly, because everything accumulates. And I believe that preaching also has a little bit of that. You can talk about it, how wonderful it is, and you can have all this theory of like how it would be wonderful to have my house clean and organized every single moment. But if we don't put into practice, how are we really going to be able to benefit from it? So just like brushing our teeth, let's try to every single day, a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit at night. I think once we are able to bring that to our lives, the teachings of Jesus, even if it's only for two minutes, we are building that foundation, building that attitude, and hopefully it will become part of our lives that will come naturally. So we do not have um, to think so hard about it. But putting it into practice also requires us to do the work in our inner self, working with our emotions and our minds, and doing a lot of meditation, reflection, and a lot of connection with God, praying to our guardian angels and Jesus to support us in this mission. And I like also in this chapter that says every sermon molded on the good is useful, right? So even though if we're not able to put into practice yet, let's reflect on the importance of listening to a good sermon, of getting into the habit of bringing to our lives everything that is positive, so that we can collect those teachings and save them in our little box that will become tools for us to use when life gets hard and when things seem so cloudy. Let's visualize in our prayers today California and the wildfires that is happening, and that let's visualize also everybody else who is suffering in this moment with illnesses or any disturbances or pain they are going through. So let's close our eyes, breathing in and out, asking God to be able to look after those who are suffering in this moment. Dear Jesus, dear God, Spirit benefactors, we thank you so much for always being with us, inspiring us, and supporting us, supporting our growth. We ask for blessings for communities that are suffering by the wildfires in California, but also in other communities around the world. We ask for prayers for those who are in difficult situations, that perhaps don't have much food. They're in a lot of pain. We also ask for those that don't have a home, that don't have a chance to be able to be treated in a hospital. We ask for everybody who is suffering in this moment to be able to be received during their sleep or during the day with a lot of love from our guides and from our hearts to their hearts. We ask you, Jesus, to be able to help us to be able to always remember your teachings. Help us to be able to preach those teachings to others. But most importantly, allow us to be able to be a witness, an example of your teachings. We thank you so much for everything that you do for us and our family and everyone in the planet Earth. We ask for blessings for everybody around us, our community, our family members, our loved ones, our friends, but also everyone in the planet Earth, incarnated and discarnated. Thank you so much, Master Jesus. We pray also for Kardec Radio and everybody who is part of this wonderful mission, so that we can continue to spread messages like this that can comfort our hearts, give us hope, and help us to be able to keep on going with our lives. Thank you so much. So be it. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you again next week.